What's the most fucked up thing someone has told you about themselves after barely getting to know them? I mean, you can't argue with his logic. Y'all will probably never see each other again, so he's safe from repercussions. I was expecting his line to be, "I know you won't tell anyone because I'm going to kill you." Yesterday I was walking with a friend of a friend after my friend left me. He started telling me benefits of NoFap and his pervertness out of nowhere, like telling me how it had affected him and his life personally. He told me how he masturbated in a train sitting with all his friends in such a way nobody noticed. Then he goes on telling me how he asked his father for help, for which his father asked him to drink buttermilk because apparently it reduces the addiction. New roommate told me her current boyfriend got kicked out of college for sexual assault and was under investigation for another case of sexual assault. Wanted my opinion about it within like 2 hours or meeting. Completely disregarded that my opinion was run. Everyone keeps saying that, but I don't think any of you understand how complicated this is. I was buying an AC at Home Depot during Black Friday sales. There were none on the shelf, so an employee was helping me get the display model. He carried it all the way to the cashier for me. I thanked him and wished him a happy holiday season. A shadow crossed his face and he looked me straight in the eye and told me he killed someone a year ago during the holidays. He ran a man over and killed him. It was ruled an accident, but he said he won't ever celebrate a holiday again because of that. He's probably still racked with guilt and doesn't know how to let it out. I feel sorry for him, considering it was an accident. My favorite ever was some stranger outside a bar. Seemed normal enough until she said, "My husband and I used to do meth, but we don't anymore." I applauded her on this and then she followed up with, "Yeah, now we only have meth weekends." Reminds me of Mitch Hedberg. "I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to, too. When I used to work in construction, I was on a project with this old guy that told me he was once accused of raping his daughter, but after an investigation was conducted it turned out it was his brother who committed the crime. Way too much information." Had another idiot showing everyone pictures on his phone of him and his stripper wife having a threesome. Can't say I miss the trades. Yep, had a drywaller say, "Hey Mr. Canoe, you want to see some naked pictures of my wife?" Then he rushes out to get them before I could say no thanks. He comes back in all pissed off. They had been on the dashboard of his truck but someone had stolen them. I was a teenager working retail and there was a fidgety older woman I worked with. I was always very nice to her, but she was just a coworker at the end of the day. One day she told me about her grandpa molesting her when she was young. Her parents didn't believe her, so it continued until he died. She said she was glad he died and was happy at his funeral. I really had no clue what to say since this was out of nowhere. I just said I was really sorry it had happened. Felt really bad for her because I could tell it still really bothered her. I imagine that the pain and the memory lasts a lifetime for most victims. As a parent, I cannot imagine dismissing my daughters if they came to me with that, or anything like it. That's fucking unthinkable. That he broke in and beat the shit out of a guy who raped his daughter, put the guy in the hospital, with a baseball bat. I totally get why he did it, but I have no idea why he thought it was a good story to tell a new coworker. I have no idea why he thought it was a good story to tell a new coworker. He took one look at you and was like, "This looks like a guy who would rape my daughter, I'd better not let him get any ideas." Lady at work started telling me about land she owned in another state that is not part of America. She then started talking about how every American is a bond to the government, and your SSN is just your bond number. Wealthy people own those bonds and own you. She started naming off prices of bonds based off people's races and genders. This was all said after I simply asked her what she was doing with her long weekend coming up. Weirdly enough, I had a dude tell me all this unprompted during my first night shift at Dollar General. All I asked was if he wanted his change. She said that if I wanted she would kill her parents so we can live at her house. I never went on a second date with her. Well, at least you know there's a crazy woman out there that's willing to kill her own family for you. That's something.